New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.
Come on, man. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from Nick of Time Show here. Give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. And you already know what it is, man. It's time to celebrate with the gunshots because the Knicks take down the tanking Wizards 114-292. And you already know who I'm here to talk about. Follow us on Twitter. Follow the program. I am going to celebrate the accomplishments of Obadiah Toppin. Young stat comes in here, gives you a career high 35 points, 2 steals on the night. Let's go, Obi Toppin. 6 of 9 from 3, 66% from 3. I was told he couldn't shoot, Ryan. I was told he couldn't shoot. Emmanuel Quickley gets in here and gives you 10 assists. But he's not a point guard, Ryan. He's not a point guard, Ryan. But for the second time, he gives you 10 assists. And Evan Fournier gives you 17 points. The Knicks annihilate these guys on turnovers, points over turnovers, and we win once again. And I know some guys are like, well, oh my God, no, we're not supposed to win. We gotta get picks. Oh, we gotta get. Who cares about these picks? I don't care. I mean, I do care, but at this point, I don't care because we already know the lottery odds are fixed. We already know that the Pelicans got Zion when they were 10th place last season. Anything could happen. The lottery odds are baked anyway, so I don't really care. What I do care about, though, is Obadiah Toppin getting 35 points and proving these haters wrong. Emmanuel Quickley for man. If I ever wanted a point guard in my entire life, no matter of fact, let me scratch that, Ryan. If I ever wanted to play who wasn't a point guard, I would want Emmanuel Quickley. If my non-point guard is giving me 10 assists, give me that guy, all right? 10 assists from your non-point guard? 6 rebounds from your non-point guard? Come on, son. And we're going to talk about it all, the good, the bad. Was there bad? The good and the good.
It wasn't much bad. It wasn't much bad. Just a little bit bad. RJ Barrett, but that's about it. Bodman Barrett gonna be back for next season. We know that. So
he'll be back though. He's gonna be back. One game, it's fine. It's fine. But we're gonna talk all about it all. Now, before I even get into the details of the game, let me introduce my guy, the man, the myth, the legend. If you didn't know, the guy with the stats and the facts.
Ryan G is in the building. We got IQ out here point guarding, and we got OB out here showing that Randle might not be needed from next season on.
Might not be needed. Might not take the might off of that. So you gotta say this with your chest, Ryan. Put that man on the first JetBlue flight out of here, all right? Obadiah Toppin is in town. He's more efficient. He's a passer. Did you see the pass? Like, okay, Obi Toppin, right? He only has one assist on the night because he was mostly getting lob passes from our non-point guard and Emmanuel Quickley, right? But did you see that one post move where he had like a spin hook shot from one side of the court to a guy in the corner for 3? I'm just like, this dude's passing instincts are so underrated, and it didn't turn into 3 points because the guy missed. I don't remember who he passed to, but he missed a 3-point shot. But things like that get me excited because this man's bag is deep, Ryan. This man's bag is really, really deep, and I feel like we're scratching the surface. I just
yeah, man. I mean, at this point, it's like all Obi needed was a chance, and when he finally gets his chance with the season almost over, and Randle giving the rest of the season off, he just stepped up to the plate. And he's showing all facets of his game where when he's playing 10, 15 minutes a game, he's not able to show that because, like Obi has said, when he gets playing time, it helps him to get into a rhythm and he gets to see more of the game. Like he gets to realize where he makes his mistakes and he learns from those mistakes and he plays better as a result. And I mean, yeah, Obi is out here balling and game high 35 tonight. The only issue I have with Obi's game is the rebounding. That's about it because my man's out there rebounding like KP.
Yeah, man.
That's the only issue I have with Obi.
Nah, you're right.
If Obi can improve the rebounding and keep doing what he's doing on the offensive end and defense, defense, he's still a little shaky on defense, still a little shaky, but but as long as he continues on the straight path with the offense and defensively gets better and gets the rebounding better, it seems like the Knicks made the right pick at number 8. It's just unfortunate that the year when the Knicks made that pick, that's when Randle had his crazy season.
And here's the thing about that. Even if he has this crazy season, right? And I said this last post game, I'm gonna say it this post game. If we end up trading Randle this offseason, his stock is still higher than the year that we supposedly supposed to trade him, right? The year we supposed to trade him, he was no handle Randles. He was averaging 5 turnovers a game. He was looking abysmal. At this point, the NBA have seen him kind of rise, and he's seen him decline a little bit. But in his decline, he scored 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. So even with his decline, this year's decline is still better than his first year with the Knicks. So even if we end up moving him, even with the money we have, I feel like we still might be able to get a decent return for Randle. And that's going to help out both teams, probably some small market team. You know, who knows? It could be OKC. It could be Portland. A team like that. So I'm cool. I'm cool. I feel like we might be fine. I don't know if I'm being overly optimistic, but I still feel like we'll be okay. And on the flip side of that, you know what? When we talk about going with Obi Toppin for the foreseeable future and not Julius Randle, that does come with a little bit of like, you know what? Obi has the potential to be really good. He's an elite finisher. He might be an elite 3-point shooter at this point. I don't know. I don't know. I saw somebody on Twitter called him Obi Curry. I don't know. But he's an elite finisher. You already know that. I feel like that mid-range game. I feel like a mid-range pull-up game is going to be there as well. Potentially could be a 3-level scorer. The free throws kind of point to the fact that the touch is going to be there. So I feel like, even though there's a chance that we might struggle with Obi, there's also a chance that we might not. There's also a chance that we can take off running. But it's all about the pieces we put around him. What do you think about that?
Yeah, seeing the way Obi's played so far towards the end of the season, it would lead me to believe that he's deserving at least see how he can be throughout a full 82-game season as a starting forward, and he goes up against better competition. Because I mean, if you're gonna have one complaint, it's that him getting these minutes at the end of the season, it's mostly against lesser competition, and he's doing what he's supposed to do against lesser competition. He's dominating them.
Right.
But now the next test is, can you put up the same production against players of a higher caliber? And the only way you're going to see that is if you give him the opportunity to play those 25, 30 minutes against the competition to see how he does. And I feel like he's proven, at least towards the end of the season, that it's worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Today's matchup too, like lesser competition, okay, but Hachimura is a freaking lottery. Like Hachimura he's a guy who's able to play defense, mid-range killer. He kind of killed us in the first half, gave you 18 points. So I mean, Obi's second year in the league, he's hardly got minutes. He did pretty well. He
did.
And the way, I feel like the way he finishes too, we need the proper team around him to unlock. Because if you notice, listen, the starting 5 for this team was, of course, the resident starting point guard, Alec Burks. who, by the way, has not even sniffed IQ's assist numbers. That guy who's not a point guard coming off the bench, hasn't even sniffed his assist numbers, right? Because IQ over his last 5 games gave you 30 assists and 4 turnovers. And so hold on, let's do the math, Ryan. Let's do the math real quick. All right,
30 assists and 4 turnovers.
Yeah, 30 assists and 4 turnovers over the last 5 games. Now it's
that's about 7.5.
Yeah,
it's about 7.5 to 1 about.
Yeah, if you didn't know, Ryan G, the man with the stats and the facts, he was an accountant. All right, so he does the math. All right, if you didn't know, now you know. All right, add 1 more game today, 10 assists, 10 turnovers today. All right, so let's see. So now we're up to 40 assists.
40 assists to 5 turnovers. Wait, 40 assists. Wait, to 6 turnovers, right?
40 assists to 6 turnovers, 6 games from your guy who's not a point guard. Yeah,
that's a crazy ratio, right?
That's
there.
a crazy ratio for a guy who's not a point guard. I
mean, if we're being real about it, from a straight statistical standpoint, those are point guard type statistics right there.
And I'm gonna get into that later because that's the next topic I get to after this. But we'll stay on this. For Obi Toppin to get what he has to go, he needs a guy who can pass the ball. And did you notice? I love RJ. I love Burks. They've done well for this season. But when Obi was running with those guys for the first quarter, Obi was doing the same thing he does with IQ. He was beating people down the floor. He had his one hand up. He was ready to catch his lob. He was ready to seal his man from mismatch. Because oftentimes when he takes off, he's sealing point guards. How many passes did he get?
Little to none.
Then our non-point guard in IQ, and I'm saying if you haven't caught on, I'm being very sarcastic. Our non-point guard in IQ comes in, and what happens?
I mean, most of IQ's assists went to Obi. The majority of them.
I'm just saying. For a guy who's a non-point guard, he can sure, find the pass. And it's funny because IQ took 18 shots, right? But has 10 assists. And here's the thing. Can IQ sometimes pass more? Yeah, maybe. But the crazy part about IQ is the passes that he makes are so on point that the few times he passes, it leads to a bucket. It leads to a bucket. That's why his assist percentage is so freaking high. So you might be complaining that he's not a point guard, but the passes that he make is because he's creating advantages. Like I said, he's creating advantages for other people. The driving and kicking. I saw a pocket pass today to Taj Gibson off a pick and roll. A pocket pass.
Yeah.
That's another layer. That's the stuff that Frank used to do. So now he got the lob. He's learning to do the pocket pass. He has the go-ahead pass. He has the corner pass now. He's developing. He is developing. So listen, guys. I'm just saying this. Don't be so close-minded. And I get that, people project people to be this and that, and you can project all you want. But I always keep saying, I'm not gonna put any ceiling on any of these young kids because you just don't know. You just don't know. And I think the fact that he's been a second rounder, the fact that he got a D when he got drafted by the draft experts, people put a ceiling on him because of that, and they ignore what's right in front of them because of preconceived notions. That's just me.
I mean, it's definitely facts because, going into the season, nobody was expecting him to take over that point guard role. People were expecting him, like, the most people saw him was as a combo guard where he can come off the bench and he can provide you that spark. That's the most people saw him as. I don't think anybody saw that he would develop such a point guard game that he has at the moment. So yeah, sometimes it's hard because the only reason the only reason why draft experts gave Knicks a D for the Emmanuel Quickley pick was because he was projected second round. People thought that Knicks picked him too early,
Right.
and that's why he got the D. But sometimes, like I said, play evaluations are hard to do because there's a lot of times where players are rated high, and they end up being a bust in the NBA, while you have players in the second round like Nikola Jokic who end up being MVP all of a sudden. So, it's hard to do player evaluations and coming out of college, but I think it's a pleasant surprise that IQ has developed to this caliber as a point guard type player. And now you have to question, do I go after that point guard in the offseason still?
No.
Especially knowing that you have Rose coming back. Rose is going to be healthy, so that's going to be a veteran point guard right there. And then you have Quickley, who can also play point guard. And then you have McBride too, which you're also trying to develop as well. So, that's a question for the front office to try to figure out.
I say absolutely no. I say stick with Quickley. The only way I would say yes, if it's like a no-brainer point guard, like if you like somebody said Shai Alexander, someone said that because they're having problems. They're saying there's multiple. OKC has multiple point guards. They're high in the draft. So shout out to I forgot who said it, but shout out to the guy in the comments who mentioned that, and that makes total sense. So unless it's like a no-brainer type of deal for me, I'm going. Hell no. I'm sticking. I'm not bringing in no veteran point guard to ease the transition or none of that. None of that. If it's not some other top tier point guard, I'm sticking with Quick. I believe in his shot making. I believe in his work ethic because he works harder than most people. I believe in his IQ because his name's IQ, and it seems like he studies tape more than anybody. You saw Coach IQ with the little iPad earlier. Earlier in the season, I was talking about natural born leaders on his team, and some people might have called me crazy. Roll the tape back to the summer league. I said all these takes in summer league in the summer. I said I feel like IQ is a natural leader. He feels like a natural leader to me. What's a natural leader to me? A guy who keeps people up in down times. He's studious. He puts together a work ethic. He leads by example. And unlike guys like Randle, when things are going bad, he's cheery. He helps you out. He keeps everybody upbeat. And I said the same thing about RJ Barrett too, and I said the same thing about McBride as well. I feel like those three guys on our team have very natural leadership qualities. I can see any one of those guys popping to be a leader on this team in some capacity. You know what I mean? So shout out to Emmanuel Quickley.
Yes, most definitely. And Jay, give me 1 second. 1 second.
Okay, cool. And shout out to Emmanuel Quickley and also Obadiah, man. Obadiah Toppin. I already talked about him enough. But I'm loving Obadiah's game. And
Hello?
All
All right, I think I'm gonna pick it up.
All right, Ryan G, you still on the mic. We can still hear you, Ryan G, but it's all good. I'm loving the progression of Obadiah's game. It's making me more comfortable to move on from Julius Randle. So shout out to my guy Obadiah as well. And let's get to these calls. I still want to talk about RJ Barrett, and I still kind of have a hard take too. But hold on. Shout out to BKNY who sends a $5 super chat that says start IQ next year. No need for Jalen Brunson. He said, no need for Jalen Brunson. Start OB next year. Trade Randle to the vets except D Rose, Taj, and maybe Fournier. Facts. Ryan's going to pick up this Chinese food. I feel you. When your man is hungry, your man is hungry. All right? But let's get to these calls right now. But before I get to the calls, shout out to everybody in the chat. Fritz Alessandro, Black Needle, Don Hines, Robert Rivera Jr., Vibe Shop, Ronnie Sannon, T. Williams. Everybody else is rocking with the KOT show. All right, cool. Let's get it. First caller. I think we have Jason from.
Yeah, what's up, fellas?
What's going on,
Ryan
man?
G,
Yeah, Ryan G getting that Chinese food, man.
I respect it. I have a question. I thought about this yesterday, and I asked people on Twitter, no one really responded. But I want to see what people think about this. Because the more I think about it, I don't know if they're going to trade Randle this offseason, because if they don't get the value they want back, I can't see them trading him. And it's not that, like, teams don't want him. Teams might be willing to trade for him, but are they going to give back the Knicks what the Knicks actually want? Like, I don't think the Knicks want to take a step back next year. Like, a lot of fans are like, just trade him for a pick. I'm like, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want, like, to get better. So my question is, would you be okay with Randle being back if Tibbs agreed or committed to giving Obi 25 to 30 minutes a night, meaning that he would have to play them together?
Would I be okay with it? I would be more okay with it. I guess I'm still, man. Listen, man. Randle kind of reminds me of that toxic ex on his way out. I don't trust him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't trust the guy at this point. He's emotionally unstable. So even if he's getting his minutes, I don't know what his psyche is going to do to the team. Because do you see how light everything is once Randle has gotten out of the picture? People are high-fiving each other. People look like they're genuinely enjoying playing with each other. The ball is being passed around more. Assist totals are higher. It just seems like the overall feeling of the team is a lot higher. So I'm very skeptical of how Randle's going to react if he's not in his same role, or if things aren't going his way. Is he going to pout? And I'm worried about it. But
I get that he might not be super happy with it, but what is he going to do about it? Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy. People keep saying, like, well, Randle's not going to be happy about it. So what? I don't think the Knicks are going to trade him. Even if Randle asks for a trade, I don't think they're going to trade him unless they get back what they want.
Now that I agree with.
I don't think they're going to be like, hey, we'll just trade you just to get rid of you. I don't think this front office is going to do that. They're not like, it's not Phil Jackson, man, where he's just getting rid of guys just to get rid of them.
Nah, I agree with you.
So I think, the reason I ask that is because, my biggest issue is the way the offense runs. I blame Tibbs a lot for it.
Absolutely.
And not just Randle. I think the idea that it's just Randle is crazy to me, that, like, the coach has no part in it. A lot of people have been acting like if Tibbs is just this amazing coach and Randle just sabotages everything. And I just think if you play them together, the floor is spaced, and now Obi's hitting threes, it will be better for both of them.
I agree.
Like, I'm not saying it's going to be good, but let's say it's better for both of them, and then Randle actually could play well because he has an open lane now. Maybe he turns out. I'm not saying it's going to work, but I'm just saying, like, I think there's a world where he's a lot better than he was last year. And then when it comes to the trade deadline and they want to trade him, they can actually get value back.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. I understand exactly what you're saying. You're saying shorten his minutes, change his role, get his trade value up, and then we could get something bigger in return.
Well,
because you feel.
When I say I wouldn't say. I would say shorten his minutes, not that much though. Maybe shorten them to like 30, 32. They would have to play together. They would both be playing like 30 minutes a night. So they would have to play together for at least 10 to 15 minutes a game.
I would like Randle to be more like 28 minutes or something, and I would like.
Yeah, if he's playing bad, you put him down to 28, but when he's playing good, you put him up to like 34. That's why I say like 30 minutes a night. Both of them will be playing like 30 minutes a night.
Now, I feel you. And you have a point too, because this front office doesn't. They're really picky about their asset management. They don't make trades unless they feel like they're absolutely getting something back in return. Like a Dennis Smith Jr. to get back Derrick Rose is like a straight, stick 'em up job, right? So I feel like unless we get trades like that, they ain't gonna do it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, think about this. This is another thing. I think there's a pretty good chance they're gonna lose Mitch. I think, and it has nothing to do with what Mitch wants. All that has to do with is if Detroit Pistons come in and say we'll give you $17 million a year, he's gone. There's nothing that needs to do about it unless they're gonna pay him that same amount of money, and I don't think they will. So if Mitch leaves, and then Randle leaves, and all you get back is a pick, like, it's going to look like the Knicks took a big step back. And if the record, and I don't think they want to do that.
Right. I get My thing is, if Mitch leaves, right? That would suck. I would hope I would hope he would end up moving guys like Noel. And to me, I feel like if you move Noel and Evan for something, then it makes things a lot easier.
But what does Noel? Wait. What does Noel have to do with it? Are the Knicks going to pay Mitchell Robinson? If Mitchell Robinson gets offered $17 million a year, are the Knicks going to pay him that?
No, I'm saying teams can shed contracts. Teams shed contracts all the time, and the way our contracts we have expiring.
But I'm saying is the Knicks could pay Mitch. They could pay him that. They don't need to get rid of Noel to pay him that. They could pay him that. It's the question of do they want to pay him that? If they could pay Mitch. Noel only has 1 year on his deal, so getting rid of him doesn't really affect the long-term cap. They have enough cap. They could pay Mitch $17 million a year and be fine. It's just a question of in the future when after they pay RJ and they pay all these other guys, are they going to be like, yo, you pay Mitch too much money?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about the future. Cause I'm not even talking about just paying Mitch. I'm talking about like you're saying, paying RJ, paying who maybe Cam as well. Exactly. I'm thinking long term. So. If I'm paying, I feel like $17 million for Mitch is too much. I don't think he'll get.
I agree.
I don't think he'll get $17 million, to be honest with you. I feel like Morgan Bagley.
I don't know what the Pistons are going to do, man. The Pistons, everybody thought they were crazy when they paid Jeremy Grant a lot of money.
But I feel like Marvin Bagley is doing so well over there. I don't feel like they're going to throw the bag over there.
But Marvin Bagley, if you watch, and I paid a lot of attention when we played him. He was playing the 4. He wasn't playing the 5.
True.
He was playing with Isaiah Stewart. He was playing as a 4. So I watched. I paid a lot of attention to that because I agree with you. I was like, man, if they got Bagley, they won't want Mitch. But then I watched the game and I'm like, the Marvin Bagley's playing the 4. He's not playing the 5. So I don't know.
That's true. That's definitely true. But I don't know, man. Like, listen, best case scenario if we do trade Randle, if we do keep Randle, is what you said. That's best case scenario. But I still want to move him. I still want to move him at all, to be honest.
Oh, I want to move him too. I'm just saying I don't think they're gonna do it like unless they get an offer they really like. And the more I think about it, like yes, I don't know if it's gonna get it. Like yes, there are offers I could think of. I could make up a trade, but it's like will the other team actually want to do that?
Right.
I don't know.
I got you. All right, yo, thanks for calling in, Jason. We got some other calls to get to.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to say one other thing. You said you want IQ to be the starting point guard next year, right?
Yeah, I feel like I don't want I don't want a Jalen Brunson or like a mid-tier point guard to be our starting point guard. If we have like a higher level starting point guard, fine. But I don't want to.
Here's what I'll say.
Go ahead.
If Tibbs is going to be the coach next year, Tibbs would rather start Burks over IQ. Well, you think he's going to start him next year? That's all I got.
I will. This is what this LA front office, and appreciate your call, Jason. And I'm glad you said that because if you watch today's game, this is what impressed me about IQ's game today, right? When it happened. RJ Barrett goes down in the second half. IQ starts to run with the starters. He's running the offense. IQ is running the offense. Let's get to the videotape. Let's get to these stats. All right. How many assists does starting point guard Alec Burks have today again? He had 5 assists. Admirable. But if you tally up the assists that he's had for these last 5 or 6 games versus Quickley blows him out the water. Quickley ran the team to me in that second half. Go ahead.
Yeah, came back just at the end of, I think that was Jason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I came back like just at the end of his phone call. I mean, he does have a point because we have to think about the coach we have. If Burks is still here and Thibs is the coach, first and foremost, I believe if Rose is healthy, I think Rose is going to be the starting point guard. And then I think IQ is going to come off the bench. I think Thibs is going to still keep him in that bench role and play him that way. And then, IQ might play into the fourth quarter as well, depending on, I guess whatever Thibs does with the lineups or whatever the case may be. But I do feel like if Burks is still here next season, Thibs is going to ignore everything that IQ did as a point guard and still play Burks as that starting point guard. But what you said is true though, because when Burks and IQ is on the court together, Burks is not the point guard. IQ is the point guard.
Facts.
So when they're on the court together, yeah, Burks goes back to that wing role, but at the end of the day, Burks still does start as the point guard though.
And Burks guards the point guards. This is that's what it. Burks be guarding the point guards. Does he actually play point guard? That's debatable. I'm just
No, with the starting lineup without IQ, he's definitely
without
the
the
point.
yes, without
He's definitely the point.
without
Yeah.
yes, yeah. I feel like him and RJ Barrett kind of share the point guard duties, as you would say.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about that. But you're right about that. I mean, the flip side of that is Alec Burks in the offseason might be our most tradable asset. So if the front office is looking to shake things up, and if they care about the moves they made, and when I say the moves, I'm talking about Cam Reddish specifically, who we only have one more year to evaluate, I would behoove them to move an Alec Burks or an Evan Fournier to make room for these youngins to get a little more wings to spread their wings and fly. That's so, and I still feel like as much as Tibbs likes Alec Burks, his value is very high. He might be gone. He might very well be gone.
Yeah, he might be attached with a trade with Randle.
Maybe. Hey, so okay, cool. And I like Alec Burks. I'm an Alec Burks fan, but Tibbs don't know how to use that man. I'm sorry, he don't. All right, all right. Next caller up. We got our guy Ken. Ken, let us know. Where you from? What are you talking about?
What's up?
What's good?
Fellas, what you up to, man? Another Knicks win before the season ends.
That's a fact.
Yo.
Hey, fellas, man. I've been hearing you guys making some incredible points. JLS, I swear to God, you're reading my mind on everything you're saying, and you're totally on point on what's going on. So I think what I see is the positives, right? We got to focus on the positives. Is IQ is developing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is developing. He's taking that leap. And Ryan, you made some good points about draft evaluations and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say a couple of things about that. One is Daryl Morey, right? He always says you need 3 years to know if you have a player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like we're all hard on these kids. I'm like, listen, these kids, they haven't even finished their second year in the NBA.
Yeah.
And we're already judging them. So you just saw IQ, right? He overachieved last year. This year he struggled, but he still made a leap. And by the end of this year, we're all going to judge him as vastly improved, right? And
Nice.
going into his third year, we're going to have a lot of confidence in him. So I just want to say is like, listen, when you talk about point guards, outside of CP3, there isn't any real traditional point guards in the NBA. Like Steph Curry is more of an IQ type player. He's really like more of a 2, right? He's a scorer. And to your point, what you're saying about draft grades and these guys like who get who go in the second round who are surprises, most of those guys, they're guys who don't fit the mold, right? They don't fit the mold of the position. So IQ, everyone saw him as an undersized 2,
Mm-hmm.
who's more of a spot-up shooter, who really needs to play with a big point guard. So he's shown you that he's still a player who's developing. And I think one thing that people forget when they do these player evaluations, it's all more on obviously the production, but also the metrics, right? The measurables.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that JS is like the kid is intelligent, and that's one of the things that gets underrated is intelligence. And a lot of these guys who don't make it, who have all the talent in the world, who get picked in the top 10, it's because they got all the measurables, which you can't coach, right? Either you're 6'9" or you're not.
Facts.
But what they don't see sometimes is like you talked about the intangibles, the intelligence to be able to make quick reads, as you see when IQ's running the point. He makes faster, smarter decisions than Burks does.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the maturity, the character, all those things that are the intangibles. And so I think, and I'm totally with you, I don't want to upgrade to a mid-tier point guard, especially like I would love to have this kid Brunson, but I don't want to pay $20 million for a mid-tier point guard.
Me neither.
So, yeah, and the last thing I was going to say about like Randle, listen, I agree with what Jason's saying, and part of that is on Tibbs that he needs to be more creative, because the thing is, like, listen, he's running like the same offense as Fizdale, believe it or not, which is all this initiate off of ISO. But we don't have a stud number one. So we need to be playing more, share the ball movement like we've seen lately, because you don't have that talent. You don't have a Kevin Durant or LeBron James. So that and like I said, last year when they were desperate in the playoffs, you saw Tibbs play Randle and Obi together. So that's something that he's experimented with, but he's too into this rim protection, and he's limiting himself. But I think really Randle's got to go, and I think, like you said, I don't think they're gonna trade him just to trade him. They're gonna try to get some value, but I think we got to look at it. It's probably gonna end up being like a 3-team trade, because all the teams that would want Randle don't really have anything we want. And the last point, Mitch. I think he's gone. I think with everything I read about him and his situation with money and the people close to him, and especially he's been so underpaid, I think he's gone. And there's going to be somebody, like we talked about, like you mentioned, someone with money who's going to overpay, because they do it every year. It's either going to be Detroit, OKC, one of these teams that's going to overpay. And as much as I love Mitch, I do worry about him because he's a little bit of a quirky character. What happens to him once he's got money in his hands, right? And a long-term security. Like, I love him. I want him to stay. But if he goes, then I think, like he talked about many times, we got to go get, like, a stretch 5. Like, maybe, like, a trade for Miles Turner or something. So I would love for us to bring in, like, Miles Turner and what's the point guard? Brogdon.
Yeah.
Like, if we could get rid of Randle and some other vet, and then, I think, and then that would open up the offense, and also bring in playing time for this kid, Reddish. So all right, man. So fellas, you're doing a great job, man. Thank you. And I'm just sad that we only got one game left in the season. But listen, man, you guys are hitting your prime, man. You guys are just like IQ and the kids, man. Next year, you guys are up for that contract extension.
Supermax next year. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Supermax. Super chat, Supermax. Super chat, Supermax.
Super chat, Supermax. That's right. Next season.
No. Matter of fact, JL is gonna get a Supermax. I'm just gonna get the max.
You get the max.
Supermax.
Get the Supermax. It's fine. Hey, man.
If you make all Nick, right? If you make all Nick content creators, right? Like top, either first, second, or third team, then you get the Supermax.
Exactly. There we go. Yes. Hey, if I eat, we all eat. All right. I'm not greedy. I don't have to take the max. I'll leave some money on the table so y'all can eat. That's fine. Let's go.
Need a little money so we can pay. You can keep your boy.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll take a cut.
Exactly. You gotta keep the team strong. Gotta keep the team strong.
Exactly. Yeah, I can shave off 10.
Super team.
I can shave off 10 million. All right, let's go.
All right, fellas. Hope you guys be. Later.
Yeah, later, man. Yo, people are definitely worried about Mitch. I'm worried about Mitch to be as well. I just want to say this though, people. I don't think people are like, oh, don't worry. We have Sims. We don't need Mitch. Like, don't get me wrong. Sims is a great piece, right? But here's the thing. It's not. I kind of compare. I feel like Sims is like a mattress, right?
I gotta hear this.
Sims is like a mattress, right? So we lose Mitch. We lose the safety net if we fall, but if we lose him and we hit the ground from like a high velocity, from like a second-story window, one-story window, if we land on a mattress, it's still gonna hurt. All right, it's still gonna hurt a little bit because you still fell, but it's not gonna hurt as much. And that's what I see with Sims. All right, you will lose Mitch. Sims is not the perfect answer, but it would still hurt to lose Sims. To lose Mitch, all right? It just won't hurt as much. And here's why, all right? As good as Sims is, I call Sims the New Orleans Noel 2.0 because he's able to, he has a high motor. He's able to cover a lot of ground like New Orleans Noel, right? He's able to go to the rim, go to the 3-point line and sprint right back. It's something New Orleans Noel can do. He can guard three. He can run up to the 3-point line with no problem. That's something Nerlens well can do. The thing he can also do that Nerlens can't is catch lobs. All right.
No butterfingers.
No butterfingers. All right. He works hard on the boards. He gives you some defensive rebounds. That's something Nerlens well doesn't actually do. But he still, to me, positionally isn't perfect. And Sims is. Mitch is, to me, is ahead of the game when it comes to that. And also certain matchups, right? I feel like when Sims plays these guys like Capella, who has the crazy long arms, or Steve Adams, and guys like that, he gets a little bit lost and it gets dominated. And then when Mitch comes in, Mitch kind of does his job and shuts those guys down. Capella was the big bad wolf before he met Mitch, and now he's just like he's a puppy. You know what I'm saying? Every time Mitch played Capella, it wasn't nothing. Like he's like, oh, get out of here, you ain't nothing. And he actually did an admirable job against Steve Adams as well. Sims kind of struggled against those guys. Now on the flip side, Sims has done well versus who's the center for the Nets?
Drummond.
Against Drummond, and he's done well. He's done well against some matches, some centers that Mitch hasn't done well against. But both of these guys have their pros and cons. And also, Mitch kind of blocks shots, too. He's the only center I've seen who can block threes at the velocity he does. Sims is not really able to do that. In general, Mitch can do that and not Sims. Mitchell Robinson, people forget how many times has Mitchell Robinson saved us with his offensive rebounding alone. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like Sims is a decent offensive rebounder too. And maybe he's getting better. I say he got 4 tonight, pretty good. But I feel like he's more of a guy who gets you more defensive rebounds, if anything. So there's differences in between them, and Sims' games is not perfect. And when Sims is down, Mitch seems to shine, and vice versa. So I don't want to act like Mitch is expandable. And Mitch has a kind of a, believe it or not, even though his offensive game isn't super polished, it's offensively he has more of an impact than Jericho Sims does at this point.
Yeah, it kind of does baffle me when people think that we can just like get rid of Mitch and we're gonna be good because we have Sims. Like, nah, it ain't gonna be that easy because Mitch, right at this point in both of their careers, Mitch is steps ahead of Sims right now. It's not like they're running a race and they're both like neck and neck. Like, no, Mitch right now is Usain Bolt and Sims is like another runner. So Mitch is winning that race.
Yeah.
So I think you have to understand what Mitch brings to the game, which Sims doesn't do, which I think you explained perfectly. Like Mitch is much better positionally on defense. He definitely covers the pick and roll better than Sims. Mitch is pretty good at guarding 2 people at one damn time. Like he's been doing that all day.
Yeah, definitely has, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and Mitch protects the paint better. Mitch is a much better offensive rebounder. He gets the Knicks a lot of second chance opportunities, and a lot of times he finishes those second chance opportunities as well.
Yeah, he puts them right back up.
Exactly, and the defensive rebounding, like Mitch may not be a better defensive rebounder than Sims, but what Mitch does is that he blocks out. So Mitch might not grab those defensive rebounds, but he allows other Knicks players to come and get those defensive rebounds as well.
Facts.
I mean, it's part of the reason why you see Quickley have all those big rebounding numbers is because Mitch is blocking out and Quickley just coming getting the rebounds and igniting fast breaks. So do I want Mitch to stay? Of course I do. Like, I feel like if the Knicks, Mitch is one of the main pieces that the Knicks have to keep. But of course, if he does go, I agree with you. Like I think the Knicks have to go the route of finding a stretch 5, because you're gonna have Sims who, he's like a Mitch light. He's like a Mitch light. Very light. You know what I mean? So it's like you have that guy, who that's gonna be in the paint, get your rebounds. So you're gonna need that other big now where, you can space the floor out and have the Knicks play 5 out, where they space the floor, and then you have guys like RJ, IQ, etc. just run into the paint and just cause havoc.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if Mitch leaves, man, we better get a sign and trade for Mitch. We better not leave him. We better not leave for nothing. That'll be an atrocity. That'll definitely be asset management malpractice if Mitchell Robinson leaves these New York Knicks without any type of exchange happening. So that has to happen for us. But Robert. Robert Rivera Jr. says Sims don't fall down. Mitch do be falling down a lot. You're right about that. Mitch does fall down a lot. Him, Iverson, and Dwayne Wade, they stay on the floor. I get you. I agree with that. But I still like Mitch's game. All right. Shout out to Mitch, man. I hope you come back for real. If you come back, if you sign a long-term contract, 3 years, 4 years, we need a Mitch Block Party resurgence. All right.
Oh yeah, of course. Mitch Block Party better be on and popping if he come back. Sign a big deal.
Exactly. All right, cool. Next caller up, we got our man Big Reaper, aka Silver Analytics, and I know he just Big Reaper just put up a video about Obi Toppin on his YouTube channel. What's going on, Big Reaper?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I put the video up. It was like earlier today, because I did an earlier video comparing Obi to Julius. It was like a few weeks ago, and I posted it on like one of the Knicks fans Facebook page, and everybody's like losing their minds over it, but like you guys already know how I felt about him. So,
yeah.
I mean, and I'm not the only one who kind of saw it coming anyway, so it's not like there was anything special, I mean, all you had to do was just go to basketballreference.com, look at the PER for both players, even when Obi wasn't getting the same number of minutes, look at the win shares, and it just, it's like you couldn't have, it's crazy that basically, I think so. Randle before even like the All-Star break, Randle was getting over three times the minutes Obi was getting, and basically their win shares was pretty similar, and so that was a little crazy, and so I mean Randle was slightly higher before the All-Star break, but it was just kind of crazy that Obi was close enough to his win shares, and Obi getting like only 8 to 10 minutes per game. But, the game is all about efficiency, right?
Right.
And Randle is just like, yeah, he's 2010, but he's taking like his 2010 on 41% shooting. That's not very good, So, but yeah, I mean, it was like, I did another one. So it was, it was all right. It was pretty cool. But officially, like now, it's crazy. Now, Obi Toppin. And Randle still, like, you look at the total number of minutes this season, I think Randle still has 3 times the amount of minutes Obi does. And Obi has actually eclipsed him on the win shares. And so that kind of shows you, like, what kind of players they are. He always had a higher PER than Randle did. I think he was, like, the third highest on the team. It was, like, Mitch, then I think it was Mitch, then D-Rose, and then Obi. And then it was, like, Randle after that. So he was always – and PER is, like, production per minute for each player. And so it's, like, a good way to compare players. Although, like, Randle's getting, like, a bunch, 3 times as many minutes, you can actually compare, like, you look at the PER, you can actually compare it, get a good comparison. But, I mean, like, it's good to see it. He, like I said, he's eclipsed Randle, and it's, and Randle still has, like, 3 times as many minutes as he has in terms of win shares. And so it was a good game. It was good to see him, like, play this way. And, so it was really cool. But with the, like what you guys were talking about before with Mitch, honestly, in my opinion, it's kind of, to me, it's a little crazy because, first of all, I think Mitch is like a big piece in the championship team. I mean, like, you have somebody like that in the middle. I mean, like, it's in the playoffs when things slow down. I mean, that's a huge deal,
Yeah.
Like, everything
absolutely.
is half court. And you got to, then at that point, you got to go through Mitch. And it's like, so
he could have saved us versus the Hawks for sure.
Yeah. And so for me, if you like, we got Evan Fournier, we're paying him $18 million, and Mitchell Robinson has bigger impact on the game than Evan Fournier does. So it's like, if you're paying Evan Fournier $18 million, why not just trade Evan Fournier for whatever you can get and just pay Mitchell Robinson? I think sometimes we make the mistake. If you draft someone and you bring him up and you lose him, that's really bad, in my opinion. But if you sign someone through free agency, you just basically paid money, right? And it's not, especially if it's not working out, you can just swap it for an expiring contract. So, like, who cares? It didn't work out anyway, so you're basically just breaking even at that point. So,
I agree.
same thing for Randle. So that's why, just for me, I just kind of feel like people are thinking about it the wrong way in terms of asset management.
I love that perspective.
It's like, yeah, if it's a free agent that you sign and is not working out and is like harming your team, so it's kind of silly to say, oh, we're not going to get good value for it, so we're going to keep him and let him destroy our team.
Right.
Like, and that's kind of like the thing with Randle. Like, for me, I kind of think maybe I'm sorry, go ahead.
The only way I would say that if we had to give up a pick to trade him, that would be different, right? That's the only thing I would say.
I agree. Yeah.
If you have to give it away to pick, then it's like a waste. But if we like shaving money, then we allocate more money here, and we get like a pick in return or something like that, a couple of picks in return, and a player, then it's worth it for me.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree with you on that. You definitely don't want to have to give up a pick to do that. That'll really suck. I agree with you on that. And so that's just kind of what I think with the whole Mitch thing. It'll suck if they lose him. The only issue I have with Mitch, the only thing that do scare me, I think our previous caller talked about it, is like, I don't know if Mitch listens to people. He's extremely talented, and like, it's just things that come out here and there. It just makes me think like he can be like really good. I think he can be even an offensive force.
Right.
And it's not all his fault, but like I felt like the first couple of years, obviously it sounded like he wasn't listening to a lot of the trainers, like what he should work on. But then again, we didn't have like good staff back then either. But then even this past season, in my opinion, like, he came in out of like overweight. I know he was injured, but all these guys have like they have nutritionists, right? And so they tell them like when they're injured, I'm pretty sure they tell them like, okay, this is what you need to eat, so you don't like put on too much weight. And I'm pretty sure he didn't listen. But then again, you can't be too hard. He's only like 21, right? But
I will say this, from what I heard, he did listen in the off season, because he got his muscles, so he was flexing it. He was flexing it in the preseason. And then he was like, but you are partially right, because he was like, man, I actually listen to the trainer sometime and listen to them when I with diet and working out, and I kind of like it. And he started flexing. So that was the first time he actually did listen to them. Now, sometimes what happens though is they'll tell somebody to gain weight. I still remember they did this to, if you remember Mari Stoudemire. They told the same thing to Stat. They told Stat to gain weight. Stat came in one season like, I think 15 or 20 pounds heavier, stripped, all muscle, and it slowed him down way too much. And he ended up just kind of running on a treadmill, losing the weight, and got fitter until he got back into shape. The same thing happened with Mitch. I feel like they wanted him to gain weight and gain muscle because they felt like he was too frail and he was getting pushed around, which he was. And then they kind of calibrated later and asked him to lose weight. And that's kind of what happened. But you're partially right, though. He didn't always listen. Yeah. He didn't always listen. So you are right.
Yeah. So I guess I was probably wrong about this season. So it's definitely possible I was wrong, because it's not like, we know definitely a lot of times I'm just hearing stuff and you're trying to piece it together, like what happened. But, I'm glad. In my opinion, I kind of think he should lose a little more weight, because sometimes I feel like he's like still laboring out there. Sometimes I'm not saying like go back to what he was, but I kind of feel like he should drop down just a little further, because every time you see him running now, he's like, you hear more about him having back issues. And if you guys notice, he's always hunched over a lot. That means like, so there's a good chance in a lot of these games, his back is like he's playing with a tight back constantly.
Right.
So it's, he's constantly hunched over sometimes. And so I think that's because the back tightens up, and maybe he's doing it to kind of relieve pressure a little bit. I could be wrong, but I used to have back issues, and that's kind of like how I used to kind of like, it helped relieve pressure. It was just kind of like bending over a little bit. But like, I don't know. But I do hope they could re-sign him, because I think he's an important piece. Julius, they got to get rid of him, because his body language, you can just tell when he's trying to sabotage. You can just he has such a dramatic body language that you can just almost tell his intent every time he does something. And that Hornets game, he clearly was just like, wasn't even really trying and was like letting people go by. And so the thing we're trying to bring Julius back next year, if you bring him back and he repeats the same thing, and the crowd, they're going to go crazy, next year. They're going to be like booing all the time.
What?
And
going to
continue.
Like, we here already. That ship has sailed. The Boo Birds have came. They've made a nest. They started a family. They're all over the, like, no one's letting up. I was shout out to yo, why am I drawing a blank? What are the mods? Oh my gosh, I'm going to break right now. He was talking to me about he went to one of the games and they said they was booing Julius Randle at the intro. And then I think that game he had 5 points. They was calling him 5-point Randle the whole game.
Damn.
Yeah.
5-point Randle. I can see it.
Yeah. They were heckling him the whole game. So I mean, in hindsight, if you think about him throwing the ball, he was probably pissed about getting heckled. The whole game, but it's like, what comes first, the chicken and the egg? Like, that's what I keep saying.
So that's why Randall stopped doing those intros. That's why he stopped.
Nah. Yeah.
Makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's done. This ship is sold. They can try to trot him out there if they want next year. Especially you got Tibbs back and you got Randall back, and like Tibbs is gonna play him like 40 minutes a game. And that's the other thing with Tibbs too is like, I mean, if you want people to play on both sides, you can't be playing them 40 minutes a game. You got to at least, if you want them to like really hustle on both sides, then you got to play them like in the low 30s. I mean, that's what you have to do. But,
I feel you.
That's the problem with Tibbs. He just won't do it, but he wants them to like, RJ and Randall, he wants them to like hustle on both sides, especially with Randall. Like, I think that's probably part of the reason. Still no excuse for the kind of effort he gives a lot of times. But that's probably one of the reasons why he does it too. Is like he knows he's going to play 40 minutes. It's like if he knows he's going to play 40 minutes, why?
Yeah.
Why would you run up and down and try to like do it all on both sides? So
facts, accountability.
It's pretty crazy.
Accountability, man.
Yeah.
But thanks, Reaper. Yo, thank you.
The last thing I'm just. Yeah. Oh. All right. Yeah. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
All right. No problem, Reaper. No problem.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, peace.
Yeah, 5-point Randall is crazy. I don't. That was y'all wrong for that, Garden. Y'all. I don't want.
Oh man.
I don't want y'all heckling the man as soon as he steps in the Garden and throughout the whole game. This is still the home team. All right. This is still the
exactly.
There's limits. There's limits. All right. Boo when he plays bad. If he plays, when I say play bad, I don't mean missing shots. You know what I mean? I mean if you're not showing effort. If you barking at your teammates, then I get it. Not when he's no, but I digress. Next year is gonna be another year. Hopefully he's not here, but if he is,
he has a lot of making up to do. I'm just gonna keep it at that.
yeah, man. I feel you on that. And I want to address something too, because Sherman's probably pissed because Sherman was going off in the chat, so he might be going by now because he was giving Obi Toppin and he might put too much praise, and that's the two people he hates the most. But he made a comment about running the offense with Obi and it being stupid because Randall commands double teams. And one thing I've always said all season is that to me you're not a star unless you command double teams, because that means you can start to create and make other players better. But here's how you get around that. Like, this comparison is so easy. The old school Phoenix Suns of Mac D'Antoni and with Nash and Amari, they figured it was a run and gun offense, much like ours right now. Pick and roll heavy ball movement, and having a point guard who can set the table. Like, if we have a guy like Obi who likes to get out on a break, then the perfect guard complement is going to be a guard who can give you those go-ahead baskets, which Quickley is doing. And also who can throw some nice lob passes that complement his leaping ability. And shout out to Miguel P. If you notice, we have some new graphics. But that was supposed to be a Nate Robinson graphic that showed on Flash on top of there, and not a zombie running. But thank you for 99. I don't know what happened, but thank you. Shout out to Miguel 499 says Tibbs gave Randle cover all season, increased his minutes to help him pad his numbers. For bad judgment alone, Tibbs has to go. Randle should follow.
Yeah, and I mean, in a perfect world, that would be the case, but Tibbs already going to be here for another season. We know that. And Randle, we have to see what the Knicks front office does with him in the offseason.
Right. And here's my take on it for guys you don't know. Please, okay, if it's your first time here, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Actually, if somebody subscribes right now, I actually want to test to see if the subscribe alert works. So if you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button just to see if it works. Because I tested it before and it worked. And I just want to see if it works right now. But anyway, to what was I saying again, Ryan? About
I think you were talking about, was it Obi and because you were talking about what Sherwin said about, Julius Randle commands double teams and how Obi doesn't command double teams and running the offense with Obi is stupid, and
right.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a pathway to success. There definitely is a pathway to success. Without Randle, which is why I feel like these games are kind of important, and the way we're running our offense is important. It's going to take an adjustment. It's an adjustment style, but it's a small sample size. But I'm willing to roll the dice and try to see if it works. Now, if it doesn't work, it is what it is. We still have our picks. We head to the draft in 2023. We have a really deep draft. We have high school players into that draft too, so I feel like it'll be fine. And if it does work, we'll be great because we'll have more money to sign other people because we got rid of Randle. Our youth will develop that much better, and I think everything will be fine. Now, this front office is notorious for going after big stars, so I can see them still trying to make a swing at Donovan Mitchell, whoever, because that's just what they do. But it is what it is. He says answering Miguel. Okay, answering Miguel. You're right. Shout out to Robert Rivera. He says Tibbs gave Randle cover all season, increased his minutes to help him pad his numbers. For bad judgment alone, Tibbs has to go. Randle should stay. Okay, I got you. All right, so here, for me, if you've been listening for a while, you'll know I want Tibbs to go for two people in particular, right? I feel like Tibbs has been really good for RJ Barrett so far. I feel like he's actually been pretty good for IQ as well. And that's been great for us. But when it comes, and also Mitch, I feel like he's been doing good with Mitch. But for Obi and Cam, he hasn't been the best. And that's what worries me, especially with Cam. Because when you're talking about who has one of the highest ceilings on this team, I think I was going between Obi. To me, I was going between Obi and Cam, I think, right? I think it was Obi and Cam. And we only have a year to see what Cam Reddish has to do. And if Tom Thibodeau was here, Cam might get better in the background because Tom Thibodeau is a really good teacher. Right? But we won't be able to see that on the court. And if we're not going to be able to see that on the court, I kind of in fear that we're going to just end up wasting, a draft pick and an opportunity to see what we have before we have to pay Cam. And according to Ian Begley, teams are willing to pay Cam $20 million. So, to me, that's my biggest reason for even wanting to move Tibbs. So for him to stay, I need like a written agreement. Like, hey, you have to play Cam Reddish. Like, that has to be there. Obi and Cam needs minimum 20 minutes a game. Minimum.
Yeah, with Tibbs, it's like, to me, Tibbs is an enigma because there are certain things I like about Tibbs, but then there's certain things I do not like about Tibbs. So, would I move him? Realistically speaking, I probably would, just for the simple fact I know he doesn't play the young kids like he should and develop them like he should. But at the same time, I feel like if Thibs had his idea of like his ideal team, I think when he looks at the young players play, but when they play together, I feel like that's the team he would love to put on the court every time. Like, I think he would be like, that's how I would love my team to play all the time. But it's just that but it's like he cannot overlook playing the veterans. He feels like he has to play the veterans 30, 40 minutes, despite the fact that he sees what can happen when he puts the young players together and they play his style of basketball.
Right.
So with Thibs, is like it's like there's the pros and there's the cons, and then you have to decide like, okay, do the pros outweigh the cons, or do the cons outweigh the pros? And at this moment, you look at the Knicks roster and you're like, okay, do the Knicks have a chance to contend at the moment? They do not.
Nope.
So what makes more sense? Do you play the veterans to run them into the ground and try to win games? Or do you try to develop the young players on the team so you can perhaps create a brighter future for the franchise? And at the moment, it makes sense to play the young kids and develop them so you can build a brighter future for the franchise. Is Thibs that coach? With some young players, it shows. With other young players, it don't.
Yep.
So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're pulling hairs, but I think, you know, when it's all said and done, you probably have to go to a developmental coach who's going to actually develop all the young players as opposed to just developing some of them and then other young players just rot on the bench.
Exactly. Case in point, McBride had a great game, had a fun time gloating about, you know, Quickley and Obi and these guys. McBride with RJ Barrett out, you know, still really didn't give you a ton of minutes. I mean, I guess he gave you 18 minutes. He gave you 18 minutes.
I mean, by Thibs standards, that's decent.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
That's
good.
decent.
You know what it is? I wanted to still see McBride. In my mind, you have IQ playing the one now in the second half. I'm like, this is opportunity for McBride to play some one. And I still didn't see that. But it is what it is at this point. And I wanted to see that before the season end. I guess it's not going to happen. But it is what it is. Still happy that IQ's here, that IQ's developed. I'm extremely happy that OB is showing out and show that he can shoot. If he takes this he better take this information into consideration next season when he's trying to only give OB 11 minutes and realize it's stupid. Especially if Randle starts to do his Randle things like he did in the beginning of the season. Like, that has to stop. And like I said before, Cam Reddish has to play. Asset malpractice if Cam does not play. Sue that man if Cam doesn't play, for real. All right.
You know, like Picks for Timmy says, tibbing ain't easy.
Yeah, tibbing ain't easy, man. Tibbing. I swear, man. Whew. All right, yo. Salute to the chat, man. Shout out to Robert Rivera Jr., Miguel P., Black Nito, Bilal Malik. Everybody else is rocking with the KOT show. Yo, Jason M. Okay, you guys, if I get Mark Berman here live, are you guys gonna act crazy or are you gonna act right? I just need to know. I just need to know because I feel like Mark. I can get Mark. I feel like I can get Mark. Mark has been pretty, you know, liberal. So I feel like I can get Mark here. All right. So let me know because I feel like I'm gonna ask Mark. It's the end of the season. I feel like having Mark here would be a pretty entertaining show because Mark doesn't hold back any punches. Picks for Timmy says, I'm not going to know how to act, honestly.
That might be the majority of Knicks fans.
I need, specifically, I don't even know if Jason M is still on the line. Specifically, I want to know Jason M how he's gonna act specifically because I'm gonna ask Mark very, very real questions. Don't worry. I'm asking very real questions, but I'm just letting you know. All right, it can definitely. I feel like it's a high possibility, and I feel like he would be a good show for the end of the season because he speaks his mind, and he doesn't just. He's not like a politically correct, stay safe guy. He just tells it how he thinks it.
I agree, Black Nito. We definitely do need a cameo by Monica. Yo, someone need to tell Monica to come through, yo.
All right, Monica hasn't followed us yet, so we still got to work on Monica. All right.
Y'all need to blow up Monica's Twitter right now and be like, follow the Nick of Time show, right? Blow up her Twitter.
Yeah,
and
blow
up
up
IG too.
Yeah, blow up it all. Her Twitter and IG, man. For sure. All right, cool. All right, yo. Jason Emmy says he's not calling in if Mark comes on. All right. He's not calling.
She blocked him.
Yeah, I mean, I muted some people, and this is the first time I ever used the mute button on Twitter was this week. And I've been on Twitter for years, but I finally did it this year. But I had to mute somebody. That's fine though. All right, that is our show though. Thanks you guys for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're here after every game. We're gonna be here in the off season talking some stuff as well, and hopefully I'll be working on something else for a while. Hopefully I'll be able to get off the ground this off season, and hopefully I enjoy when it launches. All right. Also, I just want to see the subscribe graphic works. If anybody here for the first time, I want to see if the little pop up works. So if you want to, all right. But thank you guys for the super chat as well. All right. Now let's get it. Ryan G, let them know where they can find you, sir.
You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chillin'.
Sir G is chillin'.
That's SIRG is CHILLIN. You can also find me on Instagram at Sergi's Corner, where I talk sports and Knicks basketball. That's going to be back on soon. I know Knicks season's almost over, but I'm still going to be talking over the summer, so be on the lookout for that. And also, you can find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT.
All right. Also, you already know what it is, man. You can listen to us on all SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Everywhere you can listen to podcasts, you get your merch. KOT, snapbacks, black and white, blue and orange. At nicktimeshow.com/catalog. Also, follow us on all social media. The KOT Show on Twitter, The Nick of Time Show on Instagram, and The Nick of Time Show on Facebook as well. That is our show. Thank you guys for watching. Also, you see all the links there. You can also donate super chats and PayPals and Cash Apps. All that helps keeps the lights on, helps pay for the phones, and just keeps us going upward so we can grow this thing bigger, better. All right? Cool. That is our show. All right? Y'all been a great audience. Thank you guys for watching. And as always,
shout out the World Wide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
It's a mess out here in these Knicks YouTube streets. Obi Toppin is a GOAT. We out of here.
Peace.